Hi, this is a Curvy 3D tutorial where I'll be modelling Pikachu. I'm going to start by loading up an image from a background. So I'm going to load a front image and load a left image from texture load image plane. These are both the same picture, so I'm going to move them so Pikachu appears lined up with the centre of the grid. So I've selected the front and the left together using Shift, and now I'm moving them in sync. So lining up the left viewport and the front viewport with where I want to draw his head and his body. Next, I'm going to draw his head and his body using lathes, overlapping lathes, so they're going to overlap quite a bit on the neck. So I'm going to start in the left view and draw the front and back with two curves. Then in the front viewport, I'm going to draw the side curve, making sure it overlaps with his neck at the bottom. I'm going to turn on lathe symmetry. So from those three curves, it can make a nice shape. Now press T to use the pull tool on the curve. Just tweaking that curve into place, pressing S to smooth the curve, tweaking it in the front as well and the back. When that's ready, I'm going to draw the body. Just tweak the top of the head into place to make it smoother. The body is going to be drawn the same way. His tummy and his leg. First the front, then the back, and then the side curve. And this time in the side we're going to go a little bit lower to get that tiny bit of leg shape coming out of the side of his belly. So we're going to draw this curve all the way down to his foot and then back up. And again, we're going to turn on lathe symmetry so those three lines can describe his body quite exactly. When I'm happy with all those curves, I'm going to move on to the next bit, which will be his arm. So this time I'm going to draw in the front view, draw either side of the arm, and then in the left view, one more curve for the arm. Tweak that into place with the pull tool. Once again, turn on lathe symmetry. Now, to get this arm into position, we're going to use a fair amount of moving and rotating. So you can either rotate the little blue, red and green handles, or you can just click in the viewport anywhere and it'll rotate around that point. So that's almost in position. You can smooth those curves with S again. Right click to select a curve, S to smooth. When I'm happy with it, I'll just finish there. I turned off the snap rotation to get more control. When I'm happy with it, I Control C and then Control L, which will copy and then paste a mirrored version of the same thing. Now I'm going to join the body onto the head. I dragged the body in the groups panel onto the head, and then I used Well to parent and then S to smooth again. Now I'm going to use the pull tool on the mesh, change the size of the brush to the same size of his nose, and then use the pull tool to pull out his snout, where his nose is going to be. A little sphere for his tip of his nose, another sphere for his eye. This one we're going to squash into a sort of slightly flatter shape. and then again rotate it in the position where we want it to end up. It's useful to use the full viewport mode, because then you can move it forwards and sideways and see how it's lining up in both views at the same time. Again, when I'm happy with that, I'll Control C, Control L to make a copy on the other side. Next, we're going to draw in his mouth. I want to draw this in front, so I'm using Drawn Frozen, so it draws it onto the front image plane. Then I'm making it symmetrical using the curve mirror. Again, S to smooth it a bit. And now we're going to place this on his face, resetting the perspective view, and then using curve drop to surface. And that'll project the mouth onto the snout where his mouth needs to be. Just duplicating his eye to make a nice round cheek. Again, scaling, moving, rotating into place. And when I'm quite happy with that, Control C, Control L to do the other side. Now we just need to do his ears and his tail. So his ear, I'm going to draw a lathe, basically just a curve following the top of his ear shape. I'm going to use a circular arc ruler to make that a nice clean shape. Use the pull tool to make it slightly sharper. Just need to move this ear into place on his head. There we go. Now the tips of his ear are a different colour. We could do this with the painting tools, but here I'm going to make a copy of the lathe and use the scissor tool to trim it down to the length I want. Notice that I'm starting at to trim from the long end that I don't want. Curvy always trims the shortest bit of the curve off, so I started off at the left. And now I'm going to make that into a 3-line lathe, increase the size of it slightly. Three curve lathe, just to get that slight curve on where it connects to the main bit of his ear. I just darkened the diffuse colour there a bit, and I'm going to darken the ambient colour as well to make his ear even darker. When I'm happy with that, I group them together by dragging the tip of the ear onto the main ear. That joins them in a nice group. And then I can make the opposite ear using Control C, Control L, and it copies and pastes the whole group. Just rotate these ears into a 3-dimensional space. Now for his tail, I'm just going to draw his foot first as a little lathe. Just tidy that up a little bit and use the pull tool to drag the curve into shape. When I'm happy with the shape in the front, I'm going to press K to turn it into a mesh and then scale it a bit so it becomes slightly more foot shaped, and then Control C, Control L to copy and paste the other one. Now I've switched to point-to-point mode to draw his tail, so I can get a nice straight line shape without having to do dragging to draw. In this mode, you left click to draw each part of the curve, and then press return when you're finished, or right click when you're finished to complete it. I'm going to duplicate this slab and use a curve ruler to chop off the longer end. This is so we can have a little brown bit of tail at the root. Using the pull tool, I pressed 1 on the keyboard to make it a very small area of effect, and I'm just dragging the rough shape of where it connects into a zigzag, and then using the straight ruler to finish that zigzag effect, increase the depth a little bit, and it'll stand out in front of the rest of the tail. You'll be able to see this more easily once I change the colour to a nice rich brown colour. So that's changing the diffuse to brown. There we go, there's the root of his tail. Now we should add some more colour. So I've selected all the pieces that I want to colour at once, and I can change their diffuse colour to a nice yellow and the ambient to a sort of a warm brown. And then fix the eyes, the nose, the mouth to a dark, almost black grey. Make it more shiny, increase the highlight. Let's set the cheeks to red. There we go, nice rosy cheeks. And if I copy the brown off his tail, I can paste that with Control F to paste it onto his feet. I dragged the tail on top of each other and rotated it. What I'm going to have to do is convert that into a mesh from a slab, otherwise the rotation won't work properly. So once I've converted them into meshes, now I can drag them into a group and they should rotate correctly. That's right, so rotate the tail into 3D space and move it into position. We're almost done. I'm just going to finish this guy off with a floor. So I dragged a little box for the ground he's standing on, turn it green for grass, increase the width and the length. And now we've got the surface he's standing on with a nice shadow. Change the background colour to a nice sort of sky colour. And that's it. We're pretty much done with our Pikachu. It was looking a bit dark, so I used colour clear, which makes sure that his base colour is white, so the yellow goes nice and bright on him. And there we go, there's a Pikachu in Curvy 3D. You can download Curvy 3D today for free from curvy3d.com and try it out for yourself. I hope you have lots of fun. Bye for now.